Hello and welcome to Model Kit Stuff. It's First Impressions Day today and we're looking at this, the beautiful Shackleton from Avro in 1:72 scale by Airfix. Yes, hello, it's First Impressions Day and we've got this gorgeous kit to look at. Well, I'm assuming it is. I've not actually looked in the box yet. So this is an Airfix skill level 3 kit. So this is a 2015 tooled kit, and in fact this is the 2015 release that we are looking at here. It has been released again in 2017 where there was some new parts added to do a variation of this. But this is the original kit and its original tooling. So because it's 2015, we're going to expect to find the old Airfix plastic in here. But let's take a look and see what we get. So let's start with the box. The box is now what I'd consider to be the old style, and there's several old style boxes from Airfix. You know, over the years they've inevitably changed the packaging, but we have this red strip which they've now lost. We can see here we've got the two different paint options, so we know there's two schemes involved. And this top one is the one we can see in the artwork, which appears to be flying over. Is that Gibraltar? I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be. We've got a kit number at the bottom which says A11004, and in fact both of these have been released as Series 11 kits, and therefore you've never been able to get these ones on your air miles. As we look at the side of the box, we've got some CAD imagery that shows us we're going to have a relatively detailed interior, be more detailed than you need for visibility. We've got a bomb bay with some ordnance and then an image of the finished model with the bomb bay open. It tells us here that it was made in India and it's 2015 tooling and pack design. And if we go to the back of the box, we have all sorts of stuff about Airfix. They no longer put that on there, but yeah, we do. And on this side we get a little bit of history, talking about it as a Cold War aircraft. We get the two paint schemes, so let's just look at those. Paint scheme A being number 224 Squadron, Royal Air Force, North Front, Gibraltar. Yes, I was right. September 1967. And then our second scheme is number 204 Squadron, Tanga Air Base, formerly Royal Air Force, Tanga, Indonesia, January 1972. Then we get our paints for both A and B. So if you're in a shop, it's really handy because you can wander over to the paints and pick your paints up at the same time. And then you've got what would have been 4 flying hours and a skill level 3 kit, which means we've got a certain degree of complexity. So it's a nice, strong, double corrugated top opening box. So let's open up the box. I have already cut the tape, and we get quite a bit less than you might imagine given the size of the box. So we've got our instructions here, and then we've got, you know, that box could be quite a bit smaller really, couldn't it? Anyway, let's start out by looking at our instructions. So our build manual is a typical Airfix affair. We've got an A4 stapled colour matte booklet. Being matte's really good. It's easy on the eye. It's much better than these glossy ones. And they might look and feel good in your hands when you first open the box, but when you're actually using them, they can be a real pain because your light's bouncing off them. So we have some information and specification of the aircraft, tells us to wash our parts, and then as we open up, that carries on in multiple languages with the assembly instructions, which basically tells you to check closely what you're doing and that sort of thing. Then we have our assembly icons. So quite a few here. I think Airfix instructions are probably the most comprehensive when it comes to assembly icons. And then we're starting with step 1, and we've already got decisions to make. Do we want a pilot or do we not want a pilot? So that means we've got pilots included at the very least. So we're building up the chair. And we are using different parts depending on what we're doing. So there seems to be a visible cushion if you're not using the pilot, and cushion removed if you are using the pilot. Okay, interesting. Step 2, absolutely the same with a different chair. Then step 3, we're installing the step 1 chair and some bits and pieces into a floor piece, and then we're doing the same in step 4 with the other chair and some other bits and pieces, and then we mount both of those into the main floor pan in step 5, and then we put the figures in. I'd be tempted to actually paint the figures, install them into the seat, and then install this all around it just to make sure everything's fitting. Certainly I'd be test fitting it all at this stage before you glue anything together. Then let's see, we flip over the page. Step 7, we've got wing spars going in. Step 8, we've got bulkheads going in, which have got nice details on, and our paint instructions as we go, as you always get from Airfix. Then we've got the forward bulkhead going in. Step 10, we see lots and lots of seats going in. Whole row of seats there. So what we've got, 2, 4, 6, 8 seats going in. Looks like they're all the same. Yep, they're all the same part. So a little bit of clean up and painting on an industrial level for a short period to get all them seats done. But yeah, really good. Shows you the directions they should all be facing. Then in step 11, we've got all the equipment that is being used by the people used at those seats. It suggests we don't actually have people to sit in them. So yeah, we've got some nice decals, we've got a table going in there, we've got maps going on the table, really, really nice. And what have we got? It looks like we're painting all of those, so we don't have decals for things like the radar screens and stuff, but it's telling us to paint them. Yeah, lots of different colours going on there, so you're going to have limited visibility into here, so it'll be good enough, and actually the inclusion of a decal map is a really nice touch, I think. Then we're building it together with some end pieces, some brackets, which is how we're going to then mount it in step 13. Step 14, we've got a rear bulkhead going in. Step 15, do not fit D6 if building decal scheme A. Oh, okay. Okay. Must be something we're doing different there. Right, then 16 steps and we've got to the fuselage. So we've got some paint instructions and some instructions to open bits up. That's because they'll have planned different variations of the kit when they released it. 17, we've got some bits going in the tail there, no doubt for the tail wheel and what have you. Some interior details, more interior details going in 18. Then we're fitting in all of this work that we've done on the internal parts. So that gets put in. Then we've got another bulkhead going in here, which has a little door in, so separates those two compartments. And we can see that installed there. Then in step 21 we're building up yet another chair. There's a lot of crew on this, isn't there? And then we're building up the space that this person's going to be sat in. What they're doing, I don't know. Are they the bomb aimer or something? Don't quite know. Then we've got all the dials, no doubt, on that decal being put into place. It looks like it's textured in a way to give you a little bit of interest. And then we've got pedals being mounted behind it, so they'll be back and underneath, so they should look quite good. Then we're installing that. Then we've got a window going into the roof section, but only if you're building scheme B. Then we've got modifications to do to the other fuselage half, and be careful because they are noted as A and B, so you've got to have chosen your paint scheme right at the start of the build, really. Some detail parts going in, a door, we've got a decal going on the door, that's really nice. Step 28, and both the fuselage halves come together. Then we're building up the tail components. Looks like multiple parts. Looks like we've also got posable flaps, which will be nice. Then we've got the dual tail there. I'm sure it's got an actual term, but I don't know what it is. Then we've got Bombay build up, and it says do not fit parts D8, E16 and E17, steps 35 to 36, if Bombay doors are to be fitted in the closed position. Okay, so basically you can skip some of this if you're going to just have the doors closed. Then we're building up some detail in the nose, so we've got more equipment going in, painted in there, satin black, and the nose piece going on. Looks like we've got two different options depending on which paint scheme you're doing. Then we've got the first clear parts going, oh no, not the first clear parts, I beg your pardon, but we've got some clear parts going in. Looks like the windscreen wipers are moulded in, so we're going to have a little bit of painting to do, but I don't mind that personally. Then we've got a piece going into the cockpit there, which sort of covers all those pedals and stuff, so you won't see them in reality. Step 41, we've got some instruments going into the inside of the canopy clear part there before it gets mounted in. Again, wipers moulded in. Then we've got side panels, so that should be, as long as it all fits okay, that should be easy to build up. Step 44, we're adding this little glass dome. That's only if you didn't already put the flush piece in earlier on. Then we've got a clear part door and another clear part going in the roof. Then we've got all the clear parts going into the side there, which is good, different shapes. I mean, it's all gonna look cool. The fact that it's going in afterwards means that you're not going to have issues with them dropping into the kit later on if you've not glued them in well. That happened to me recently on the B17 build, and I was handling the model and a little bit too much pressure from a finger, and one of the glass things dropped in. So a bit of a nightmare. Prefer it done this way. Yeah, more clear parts going on in step 46 and 47 with the tail, so plenty of light getting into this model, and you'll perhaps see more than you thought, so quite looking forward to building this actually. Step 48, and we're building up the inside of the gear bays now, which are going to go inside the engine nacelles. So multiple parts, that means we've got lots of detail, so that's great to see. We've got a little tank of some description going in there. building the two halves together, some extra details going on. Again, the more parts you've got, the more they've been able to mould them in the individual details, the more detailed your finished model is going to be. Then we've got exhaust options for A and B. They look quite different, so you might want to go through all of this, look at the options and make a decision on what you want your aircraft to look like, and that's perhaps going to dictate what your colour scheme is going to be. But then there's always, you know, what does it look like with all the decals on? So you've got a trade-off to do. We'll have a look at that when we look at the paint schemes. Then we're putting in the actual landing gear. Then we're building up the engine nacelles for those that don't have landing gear in. So basically going through the same process we've just gone through. Then we're building the wings, two half wings, putting the engine nacelles on, and then they slot in over those wing spars there. So as long as we've fitted everything nicely, that should go in nice and tight. So I really like the build sequence here. Then we've got options on flaps open or closed, some modifications to make if doing closed. So that walks us through that over step 71 and 72. 73, we're starting to get some options on the tail wheel there, depending on whether your wheel's up or down. Then in 75 you can see we're fitting the assembled wheels. That's nice. Got the little bay doors there going in. No idea what that is, but that's being fitted in 77. Looks like we've got weighted tyres, but just two halves with hubs in, so we'll have to have a look at how easy it is to paint those. The wheels finally being installed, and they're going to look pretty cool. But you've only got weighted tyres, so if you're having the wheels out, you can't show it in flight with the wheels out because you've got the flats on them. It's a difficult one, but it would be nice if they gave us all the options, wouldn't it? Then we're building Bombay door closed variant first, and then we're building up the ordnance, which actually looks quite detailed. We've got separate parts there going into the tail, so that will be nice. It allows you to paint different colours if that's what you need. Although there is no paint instructions here for the ordnance, so they'll be on the paint sheet, no doubt. And then if we're doing Bombay doors open, they're double skinned to give you the details, so that's lovely. This is going to be a really nice kit. Putting the hydraulics in. Then we've got so this is this extendable radar dome type thing which goes underneath the aircraft. So you have it in its retracted position if you're having the wheels down, and then if you're going to do wheels up, you can have it in its extended. So I'm guessing most people must do that. I didn't see any place for putting a stand, so I'd have to think about that if you wanted that down, but it's just a lump, so I probably wouldn't bother myself, although others would like to, I'm sure. Then we've got more details going on the Bombays. We've got some details going around the fuselage there, so we might want to change the sequence of that so that we can paint the fuselage before we install the Bombay doors. So yeah, something to think about. These little parts here, you may want to make sure you've installed those before you get to paint. Then we've got some little details going on to the wings, including some clear parts, so again something to think about before you paint. Then tiny details going on to the tail there, more bits going on the fuselage. We've got all sorts of aerials and bits and pieces going on. Then we're building up a gun position, a gun turret. Looks, is it automated or maybe semi-automated? I don't know. Oh no, there's a seat. I can see a seat. That's them being installed in the top of the aircraft, along with more radar stuff, more aerials, guns going in at the front. So this is all stuff that you've got to consider whether you want to do before or after painting. For me, guns after painting, but all the aerials, if possible, before painting. Then we're building up the propellers. So we've got 4 of those being built, and then 4 of those being built, and then the assembly comes together, so we've got 4 of those. So yeah, so it's double bladed, isn't it? So 4 of those and 4 of those. So that whole assembly must mount, therefore, right, that's going into that. So that is 1009 and that is 1010, and we're putting those together on a pin, so they should rotate. Yeah, very nice. Oh, we've got a ladder so we can have the door open. That's cool. Has the door completely removed, so I guess it didn't just hinge inside or out externally, it was one they removed. It's interesting, isn't it? There we go, that's it. 113 steps. Well, that looks quite impressive. Let's have a look at the paint instructions. So our paint instructions come in 2 sheets. So let's have a look at the one first, which, there we go. So scheme A first, and what we need to do is look at this and decide whether we like the look of the decals over scheme B, whether we like the paint scheme more, and whether we like the fit out of the aircraft. So what we've got is we've got our colours listed here. They seem to have put some texture on the silver ones, which I haven't seen before, I don't think, which is interesting. And sure enough, we've got ordnance instructions there as well, and propellers. Now, the one thing I'd say is they tend to do these bigger now in more recent years. So the propellers are quite small, but we might see that. I mean, it's just basically paint them black with yellow tips. We can see decals there, but they're not calling out them, so that's probably on the stencils sheet. But yeah, quite a few decals. We've got decals there which are going on the ordnance, which is nice to see. So this is just the main markings at the moment. So this is quite a nice paint scheme, I think. I quite like this one. It's quite a fresh, colourful scheme. Should be easy to do, just some simple masking. Yeah, no reason why this would be difficult. And a small number of decals. Yeah, I quite like that one. And we've got the dome, the glass dome on this one. And then if we flip over to this one, we've got more sticky out bits, and yeah, no guns on this one. So this, so we've not got the gun mount on this, so less armoury on this. It's a lot more of the dark sea grey with just a white top. It's sort of inverted. Then we've got this black section here on the front. So yeah, interesting markings up on the wings there with this sort of white stripe in the middle. So I can guess how some people would like that. I also like the fact that it says White Knuckle Airlines. So yeah, a little bit of humour, RAF humour going on there. Your propellers are also more colourful. You've got decals to go on the propellers there. Ordnance is no different. So you know what? I'm sort of moving towards this one without the armament on. I like the, I think it's a bit more colourful. Yeah, and we're going to have a lot more decals by the looks of it. I think I'd be moving towards this one rather than the first one. Interesting. Wasn't expecting that really. I usually generally like the first ones, but yeah, nice clear paint instructions. Right, let's have a look at the stencil sheet. So there we go. Sorry, it's a little bit glossy, the stencil sheet. So this is for A, and look at all that. Absolutely tons of stencils. Good old Airfix, never let you down with the decals. Tons and tons of decals in there. Decals on the wheels, decals for your propellers. You've got decals for you know, even those that little tiny ones that are hidden behind the engine nacelles. They're all on there, and all the decal instructions to get your wings in place. Very, very nice. We'll flip her over, and paint scheme B. Hard to tell, but I think roughly we've got a handful more, but there's not much in it in terms of decal count. So if you don't like doing decals, doesn't matter which way you go, you've got plenty to do. But you could just put the main ones on and miss the stencils. You know, it's modeller's choice at the end of the day. Whatever's fun for you. Right then, as we're talking decals, let's have a look at them. So we get a rather large decal sheet. Let's take the paper off and zoom in. So these are cartograph decals, of course, which means they're as good as you can get. And as I look at them, they are very nicely done. So we've not got decal film in some of these openings, so that the hole in the 9 and the R there is an actual hole. But we do have decal film between the letters and numbers so that you correctly space them out. So well thought through. They're divided up, as they often do, with them into common, then paint scheme A and paint scheme B. Yeah, and it's just that bit more colourful, paint scheme B, because you've got your letters and numbers in red and white rather than just the more dreary black, and your markings, you walk here, are in red rather than black. It's just brighter, a bit more vibrant, so I really quite like that. And we've got yellows instead of the reds there. So yeah, I quite like the brightness of this, and I think that's the way I'm gonna go. Yeah, very nice. We can see our little map there, which is nicely detailed, and various other little bits. And 20, we've got a whole row of whatever they are. There's tons of them. Right, okay, this'll be fun. This will be a lot of fun. Right, so let's look at our parts, and what we'll do is we'll talk through them, and then at the end I'll share some close-up photographs and photographs of any issues I might find, if indeed we get any. And we're going to start with the clear parts. So quite a big fret of clear parts, because there's a lot of clear parts we saw in the instructions. So yeah, first comment is they are very, very clear, and I don't see any issues with spidering. So I always look for spidering, then sync, and then we can look at things like distortion. So let's have a look at the distortion. There is distortion. You'd expect there to be some, but actually it's not bad at all. And when you've got that installed with something behind it, it tends to disappear, a lot of it. So I think that's all good. Yeah, tail part is lovely. The metal parts on there, the sort of the frame is nicely raised, so should be easy to create masks for and paint. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Everything looks good on there, no issues at all. Lovely and clear, yeah, very nice indeed. In no particular order, this is Sprue F, and we've got a whole array of parts here. A lot of them look like internal parts, so we've got seats, bulkheads, the pedals there. I'm not quite sure what that is, but it's got some nice material like texturing on there. Is that? Oh, that goes inside the canopy. So we've got on this side, we've got the instruments, and what I hadn't picked up from the instructions is we've got material there. So it must be like some form of sunscreen that they drew. So that's really nice actually. Although we've got ejector pins on the other side that are recessed and they'll need filling and sorting. So yeah, right. So we've got all sorts of details with the seats. They're nicely done. Not lots of creases in them, but you can tell it's material. It's a soft area. We've got bottles there, gas bottles with wiring and stuff going to them, tubing, piping, whatever you want to call it. Details are all a little bit soft moulded. We expect that for this time period from Airfix, but there is lots of detail in there, really nice. And some very fine details. You'll have to be careful removing and clearing up some of those. I've got a part here that's come adrift, so I'm hoping that's going to be floating around in the bag. When we get to it, there were several sprues in the bag, so I've not got to it yet. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Just bear in mind it's the older plastic, so it's a little bit softer than the current plastic that Airfix use. So let's just put that there so you can have a quick look. I'll take some detailed photos, as I said, but yeah, nothing wrong with that really. Next sprue is G, and we've got parts here for the propellers. So we've got all the spinners and bits and pieces building up that area of the model. We've got this strange little thing, I'm guessing it's some form of antenna, radar or something that goes on the B version of the aircraft, nicely detailed. We've got all of those seats. A number of them have broken away from their position though in the bag, but there doesn't appear to be any damage to the actual seats themselves. We've got the two pilots there and some of the various aerials that get fitted on the outside of the aircraft. More bits for the engine. There's quite a few parts that have broken away from their sprue gates. The sprue gates are nice and thin though. I think they're even thinner than they've been recently. And I do wonder if Airfix are making the sprue gates a bit chunkier so the parts don't come adrift. But at the same time, it can create some work. So again, you know, damned if they do, damned if they don't. That's our door. It's got some detail on the outside. I don't know whether that's going to be visible or not, that ejector pin, but depends on whether you're having it fitted or not. And I think probably I wouldn't. If you've got an excuse to look inside, why wouldn't you take it? Yeah, some nice parts here, but just be careful of how delicate they are. Some parts here for building up the seats, so the seat sides. So the parts are organised to fit sprue layouts rather than to fit a build process. Never a great issue for me, but some modelers prefer them grouped. I mean, it's nice if they do that, but it's only a nice to have, isn't it? We've got some exhausts there. They will need hollowing out, but they've nicely put the sprue gates on the end, so where you're going to be sanding it flush and flat anyway, so that's nicely done. Detail on the seats is nice, and the pilots quite soft moulded, but once painted up they'll come to life. So yeah, all in all, not bad. Sprue H now, a bigger sprue. We've got the Bombay doors there, both skins. I mean, this is a nice thin part here, the internal skin. So that's going to look really good. And it means that you can actually paint the internal part separately and then install it. So I quite like that. Although these edges probably need to be the internal colour as well. Then we've got this big radar that sits outside the aircraft there. Got some of the guns, they're a bit simplified by the looks of them. Quite a bit of seam on them as well. So as I look at that, it does look quite simple, but painted up it should look okay. Same with these as well, but they are probably solid. This one's broken. So yeah, that one's broken. This was several sprues in one bag. It's going to happen. And then we've got the nose piece there where you've got guns coming out, which looks okay. Got some raised details on there. And we've got our ordnance, which is again detail, again soft moulded, but it's all there and painted up. You don't really, the softness of the moulding disappears a bit when you paint it up. Yeah, some nice little details to go on them, like the propellers and bits. Yeah, no great issues with that. No issues with the moulding particularly. A little bit of standard seam cleanup and you're good to go. So yeah, all good. So a combination of several sprues in one bag and loads of space in the box for everything to whack backwards and forth as the box is handled means that I do have some parts that have come off, and we've already noticed at least one part that's broken. So if you do get this kit, check through your parts very quickly at the start and then approach Airfix for some replacements. But we've got a wing spar that's separated, and this part that we saw earlier on had come adrift. So let's put them to one side for now and carry on. Our next sprue out has the fuselage halves on. So this is sprue A, 2 fuselage halves, the interior part, that's where the wing spars come off. And again, 3 sprues in this bag, so that's sort of why. Then we've got some of the tail parts and bits and pieces. All looks really nice, lots of lovely detail on this. We've got cable runs and bits and pieces adding some nice detail, much of which will be difficult to see. But this is the Bombay, so it will be more visible on this side. If we just flick that open. So this is where we're going to be having the seats and things. And we've got some recessed ejector pins. Shouldn't be difficult to fill, nice big flat areas. So a bit of fill and sand to sort that out. And we might have things building up over some of them anyway. Whilst we're here, we can see the detail inside the fuselage, which is basic, but certainly sufficient for what you're going to be able to see. Even with this door open, you will see some stuff. There is an ejector pin in that one, which is right opposite your door, so that's going to be staring you right in the face, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, and a painter clean because it's right in one of the little struts. So I don't know, might put a first aid box or something on that, don't know yet. But yeah, the actual fuselage halves themselves, there's no rivet detail or anything like that, which I'm assuming is correct, but the panel lines are fairly nice, not too deep. You know, it's always a battle, what do they do? But I've got some raised detail as well. So I think they'll look okay when done together. So it gives you an impression of the size of the kit as well when it's built up. So yeah, it's nice and crisp. No real issues with this at all. All very good. A little bit of flash on the end there. But that's not a biggie, is it? Single piece bits for the tails there, and there's no sink in those, so that's also nicely done. Yeah, all good. Sprue C now, and we've got yet another part that's come adrift, but not. It is damaged, but only slightly where it's broken from the sprue. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? So yeah, the 2-part tails, nicely done with nice detailing in there, all recessed, so will come up nice under a wash if that's what you want to do. Lots of lovely detail on the wings. There's nothing missed there, and recesses for where we've got lamps and stuff, which have got bulbs in, so all very nice. Yeah, quite big sprue gates on right on the edge of the wingtips. They're going to take a lot of careful sanding back. Unfortunately, the sprue gate has distorted the sharp edge there, so you might have to do some scribing as well. Otherwise, all very good, yeah. Sprue B and the other half of the wings does give you an idea of the wingspan, so that's going to go right up to the fuselage there. So it's a pretty decent sized model when finished. We've got some flaps there, 2 parts, but nicely detailed. There is location pins, but we don't have any sync where we've got the lugs, so that's all good. And again, nice top surface detail. Yeah. As long as everything fits together okay, it should be okay. We've got some nice detail on the inside as well. So that's sufficient for most modelers, but no doubt there will be a photo extra out for this somewhere. Right then, this is Sprue E. We've got the engine nacelles there. We've got, not sure what those are, so they're not the Bombay doors, so not quite sure. Engine parts, wheels, internal bulkheads, that's a curtain, that's nicely done. And some more parts for the Bombay. That's one of those internal floor pans that goes in the tail there. So, you know, the shape and everything is really nicely captured for these openings around the engines, and they've got backing plates so you can paint them up nicely. The tyres are nicely done. The tyre tread's good. Yeah, there's no hole in the wheels for easy mounting and painting, so probably you're going to paint the tyres first while you've got that being held, seal them, and then mount them in some blue tack or similar, and then paint the wheels hub after. I think that's what I'd do. Nice texturing on this curtain though, details to go on the inside. That's outside of the wing flaps there, which is nicely detailed again. Paint that up, give it a wash, it'll look splendid. And then engine nacelles carry on with the panel line details that we've seen throughout. So very nicely done, crisp and clear. Yeah, really good actually. Our last sprue now, and we've got landing gear parts, we've got some interior parts, bits for the landing gear bays, and then all the propellers. And the first thing I'm noticing is that the propellers are nice and thin and really nicely done, although annoyingly we've got sprue gates on the propeller blades themselves. Does annoy me that, but there you go. It's not uncommon to see that. Again, we've got parts coming adrift. There was 2 sprues in this bag. But yeah, the propellers look really good. I'm really impressed with those. No need for aftermarket replacements, so I wouldn't bother. These should clean up okay because the sprue gates are nice and thin, and I think we're seeing some of these parts coming adrift because the sprue gates are nice and thin. So actually, a well-designed sprue with low connectivity, low cleanup, but because there's several sprues in the bag, and this isn't the designer's fault, this is Airfix packing department or whoever's responsible. They've put these multiple sprues in a bag and then loads of space in the box, and that's what's breaking things up. Now there's only one part I've had that's damaged, but we've had lots of parts loose and come free. So I don't want to criticize them for the nice thin sprue gates because I prefer that. I think in this instance the packaging and rattling around in a big box is what's caused the issues, and Airfix need to think about that when they come to re-release this again and maybe put it in a smaller, deeper box where they can stack everything nice and tightly. But we've got nice detail for the internal walls of the landing gear there, so you can see lots of pipe work and stuff. Reasonably nicely done landing gear, and that will make assembly easier. We've not got several parts, which tends to be what happens these days. Although we've got some separate bits here, should be easy to assemble. Tail wheel there, We can see lots of nice detail on these interior parts, so if you want to do some research and paint up all the different knobs and things, that should look splendid. Bulkheads with wiring looms, very nice. Lots of dials and switches. Doors on the bulkheads. Yeah, they've left no stone unturned. This is a really nice kit. So there you have it. What is my first impressions of the 1 to 72 scale Avro Shackleton Mark II from Airfix? Well, I think it's very, very nice indeed. So let's just go through this in the way that I generally do now. If we start first of all with the packaging, the box has lovely artwork on it. However, it's the packaging that's the weak point of this kit. The box is needlessly oversized. I mean, it's a very imposing box, and yeah, it'll be helpful when if you want to turn the box base into a jig for building your aircraft. That's fantastic that they've given you a nice box. But the upshot is the parts in the kit are getting damaged before you come to build it because there's so much space in that box. And yeah, I think the packaging is the weakness. Now, I don't necessarily have an issue with multiple sprues in a bag, but that bag needs to be then tightly held in the box so it's not moving about and the parts just sit there with very little movement. And they really need to think, when you've got small parts or parts that stick out like that, like this piece here, should that be in a bag on its own so it's not damaging other things? So I think a little bit more thought on the packaging, which they are doing now. We've got to remember this is 9 years ago, you know, and Airfix have travelled a huge distance in that time. So yeah, packaging is the weakness. Having said that, the box is really good and sturdy. You can put that in your stash, pile other Airfix kits on top, and you're not going to have a problem with the box collapsing in and your parts getting damaged. So from that point of view, all really, really good. These are important things that people don't consider and model manufacturers don't consider. Sturdy box is what we need because very few of us have just one kit waiting in the wings for when we finish the one we're working on. Most of us have several, so we've got options. And because when something beautiful like this comes out, you want to grab it to make sure you've got it when you want to build it. So we all have a stash. So the packaging is important. Right then. The next thing is the instructions. Well, you know, you can't criticise Airfix instructions. They are the best in the market. They're market leaders for me. You know, they may not have some of the flair and style of some other manufacturers, Winged Up Wings and people like that. But actually, you know what? When you finish the kit, what do you do with the instructions? You put them in the recycling. So, you know, that's all very nice and good. And, you know, at the end of the day, what you're looking for is a technical document that's going to get you from A to B very, very clearly and precisely, and nobody does it as well as Airfix. So yeah, instructions really, really good. Paint instructions as you go, nice and clear with all the options, breaking it down so that they build one seat, then they build another seat. It couldn't be clearer, particularly for youngsters that can't necessarily make the assumption jumps that some model manufacturers put in their instructions. So yeah, best in class for me. And I can say exactly the same about the decals, cartograph decals. Airfix do it really well, laid out in common and different paint schemes, so you can cut off the ones you don't want, put them in your spares for future use maybe. Yeah, really, really nice decals. You won't get better decals than the cartograph ones, and you won't get them better laid out and thought through than Airfix. And I generally find that Airfix do decals better than anyone because they put every little minor detail in. They don't miss a trick. So you get a really nice comprehensive set of decals. So really, really good. That then takes us to the plastic parts. So the plastic parts were nice and clear, no issues with them. Distortion was minimal and acceptable. So yeah, I was really happy with them. They've been designed in a way that they just fit in. I think these days they'd put more fuselage around them, but it looks like, as long as the fit is good, looks like you won't have any problems. And of course they all go into the model from the outside, so that's great from the point of view of installing after painting and making sure they don't drop into your model afterwards. So all very, very good. No issues with that. The plastic parts themselves, I think are very well designed. There's lots of detail in them. The sprue gates are nice and small, so cleanup is good and easy in the main. One or two areas where they were a bit thicker, like on the wingtips, might cause you a little bit of work to tidy it up. But, you know, when there's nothing wrong with the kit, you have to nitpick. Unfortunately, when I do review an Airfix kit, I'm generally nitpicking. So, yeah, I think all in all, a lovely, lovely kit. A little bit soft moulded. That's a reflection of the time this kit was originally released. Whether that looks a bit sharper in the newer plastic when it gets re-released, I don't know. We will see come the time. But I think a beautiful kit, lots and lots of detail. Yes, you could argue it's missing all of the fastener detail, the rivet detail and the canning of the skin, and I've no doubt when Airfix retool this at some point in the future one day, we will get all of that. So yeah, it's a little bit simplified, but there's nothing wrong with it. It'll look absolutely splendid when built up, and I'm looking forward to building it. So I think it's a really nice kit, and it's probably one that people haven't paid enough attention to, because it's a stunning, imposing model when done. It's a decent size and a very important interwar aircraft, which sort of follows on in the footsteps of the Lancaster, if you will. So yeah, a very, very nice kit. I'm impressed, looking forward to it. Just bear in mind that, you know, the kit's pushing 10 years old now, you know, and would have been designed 10 or 11 years ago. And so it's showing its age in that respect. But when you've built it up and painted it up and put all those decals on, you ain't gonna know. And it's gonna look splendid. So yeah, I'm looking forward to building it. So there you go. That is the Airfix Avro Shackleton. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was informative for you. So whatever you do next, you enjoy your modelling. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any more of my first impressions. I do one every week. So thanks for looking in. You take care and bye for now.
Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. It's free, and that way you won't miss my first impressions, my tool reviews, my product reviews, and any of my builds, including wooden model kits as well as plastic. It's all free, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit my PayPal link in the text below. Every pound goes straight into the channel to keep the cameras rolling and to do more fun stuff for you to watch.